Hello, I'm Simo. I'm a motion and graphic designer, and I think animation is hard and takes a long time to do. I've already made 2 videos about making an animation within a week, and both times I almost went crazy. So what if I had an even shorter amount of time? How would the animations differ if they were animated within 1 minute, 10 minutes, or an hour? If you want to find out, you're in the right place. My only goal coming into this was to make an animation of a fish falling on the ground, and that's basically it. I had made no other preparations, which was very evident as I started making the 1 minute animation, as without fins, tails, or eyes, this looks like a falling turd, so you have to believe me when I tell you that this is a fish and can't think otherwise. It could be like a fish slug thing though, so I'm okay with you thinking that. I do think I could have done a better job if I planned what I wanted to do more precisely, but I wanted to keep my very first attempt, so here you go. It does look pretty smooth though, right? Say yes. Not much to say about this one, except 1 minute for an animation is not reasonable to make an animation. To start this animation, I completely messed up the timing of the fall and wasted the first minute trying to readjust the timing, which not good when you have 10 minutes. Ultimately, I decided to redo the animation of the fish with 9 minutes to go. Next step was making the slug look like a fish, which I started doing by adding a tail. This whole process would have been much easier if I had made the tail on a separate layer. However, after doing that for the first frame, I immediately forgot about that for all the other frames. After finishing the body and the tail, I spent a good 30 seconds just watching the current animation. Cause what's the fun in animation if you can't stare at the progress after each change that you make? The thickness of the brush I picked was a bit too thick, so when I started adding details, it was a bit of a challenge fitting everything in, since I didn't want to change the thickness of the brush, and I had around 2 minutes left. Since I redrew each frame as the fish was falling to get a bit of a wobbly effect, I did end up having to redraw some frames of the eye since I made it way too small, so it looked like the eye got smaller as the fish fell. And it looked super weird laying there with a small ass eye. After that, I added some fins and gills to the fish, and here's the animation. I feel like I did a pretty good job making the fish look like a fish this time around, which is pretty awesome, I think. The fall feels weirdly soft though, which was not at all what I was going for. The shape of the fish was way too inconsistent too. Although it's not visible, I think I could have paid more attention to it. Just look at these two. We interrupt this program for this announcement. Are you a company in Europe, possibly even Sweden, that is looking for a motion design intern to intern for you from August to December or maybe even more? Well, look no further because we have a solution for you. So yeah, I'm a motion designer, but I can do graphic design on the side. Yeah. Whoa, well said. If you're interested, check out the description for my portfolio and my Instagram. Now, on to the regular program. This was it, the main challenge was here. I had to make this animation look better than any previous ones. In fact, I wanted to set the record for the coolest animation made within an hour. I don't know how that would be tracked, but I hope I win. The first 15 minutes failed to record. This was definitely a blow. How will I go on? How will my story be told? How am I even gonna make this video? I'ma just tell you what I did, same as with the other ones. Here's what I had with the first 15 minutes. I made 3 changes to mistakes I had made in the previous animations to make this animation better. I made the brush less thick. I went through 3 different phases of animating the fish so I could have control over the shape and the timing. And I made the fish bounce a little bit once it hits the ground because I think that's what a fish would do. Maybe. I guess those last 15 minutes weren't as impactful as I thought. When I started filming the rest of the 45 minutes, I once again made a different layer for the tail only for the first frame and then immediately forgot about it. I drew the tail a bit disconnected though, so it didn't really have a big impact this time. Since the tail is lighter, I wanted it to be affected by the wind more than the fish while still being attached to it. You know, like secondary action and stuff. Once I was happy with it, I went on to do the other details. When the fish hits the ground, it kind of changes its shape, so it looks like it turns a little. So I emphasized that by drawing all those features going a bit up and then down, which sold the look. I fixed the way the tail looks as the fish lands and made the fish go down a little bit lower. And with that, with 27 minutes, most of the motion was done. So I moved on to coloring. I tried adding scales, however, since I used the same color, it kinda looked a little bit too crammed. Since I didn't really have a plan for coloring, I just went with the blue for the body, a yellowish for the eyes, lighter blue for the head, and a reddish for other parts left. And to make it cooler, I added some shadow, shine, and scales in a darker blue to the fish as well. With 12 minutes left, this is what I had. I felt like I was finished, however, I wanted to use the full hour for the whole animation. So I tried adding some shadows below the fish that got increasingly bigger as it got closer to the ground. However, no matter how I did it, it didn't really look good. While animating the shadow, the whole time I had one thought floating in my head. What if fish had legs? So I took it upon myself with the last 8 minutes to figure that out. So here's my final 1 hour animation. I think it's safe to say that I set the record. I really like how it ended up falling, however, maybe the bouncing motion ends a bit abruptly. And also, the legs are a great addition to fish. I think they should try it out sometime. So there you have it, all 3 animations side by side. In conclusion, you can animate more when there's more time. And that's pretty deep, I think. Right? Now, next step is gonna be making an animation in 10 hours. How about that? A pretty fun torture mechanism for me, I think. Maybe I'd even be able to make a walk cycle in that time, but not super sure. Thank you for watching. If you like what I do, you're welcome. I'm sorry for that. Okay, bye bye now.